All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to break down a really simple but incredibly powerful technique that could literally unlock your dreams and turn them into your own personal playground. I mean, have you ever wished you could just decide to fly, or travel to some distant alien world, or meet anyone you can possibly imagine, all while you're just sleeping in your bed? Well, that is the promise of lucid dreaming, and we're about to walk through the very first step to making that a reality for you. The technique we're talking about is called the Fantasize before sleep method. And the goal here is actually pretty simple. You just need to hold on to a single conscious thought, a specific story you're telling yourself, while your body drifts off to sleep. This focus, it acts like a bridge, letting your awareness walk right over from being awake into the dream world itself. So here's our game plan. We're going to walk through this, step by step. First, we'll talk about what this method really is. Then we'll cover the 3 big steps: building your dreamscape, planting a trigger, and then crossing that bridge. And we'll wrap it all up with a pro tip on timing and what you can expect in your very first lucid dream. So why does this even work? Well, fantasizing as you fall asleep is one of the best ways to train your brain for lucidity. Think about it. By actively creating a story and interacting with it in your head, you're not just passively waiting for sleep to happen. You're actually practicing the exact kind of awareness you're going to need to take control once you're inside the dream. All right, let's get practical. Step 1, building your dreamscape. Now, this isn't about just letting your mind wander wherever it wants to go. This is about consciously constructing a very specific and stable starting room for your dream adventure. For your first few tries, the absolute key is familiarity. Don't try to invent some super complex alien planet just yet. Instead, pick a place you know like the back of your hand. Maybe your childhood bedroom, a park you love, or even just your current living room. That familiarity gives your brain a really solid, believable foundation to build on. Now, here's how we make that familiar place feel real to our sleeping brain. You have to pull in all 5 senses. Don't just see the room. Imagine the rough texture of the carpet under your feet. Feel the cool air from the window on your skin. What are the ambient sounds? The hum of a fan? What does the room smell like? The more sensory details you feed your brain, the faster it accepts this whole fantasy as reality. And finally, that repetitive action, like rubbing your hands together, acts as a physical anchor, keeping your mind from just drifting away. Okay, on to step 2. You've built the stage. Now you need to write a little cue into the script that basically yells, "Hey, you're dreaming." This is your lucidity trigger, and it is absolutely essential. And there are 2 really clever ways to set this up. First, you can weave a reality check right into your story. For example, your fantasy could just be about walking into your kitchen, and the first thing you do is look down at your hands to see if you have 6 fingers. The second way, which is also really cool, is to introduce an impossible object into your otherwise normal scene, like a book that's just floating in midair, or a clock with hands that spin backwards. And this right here gets to the exact mindset you need. As you're visualizing that floating book, you tell yourself over and over, "When I see this object, I will know I am dreaming." You're basically priming your subconscious to make that connection. It's like setting a mental alarm clock that's designed to go off the second you enter the dream. Okay, here it comes. This is probably the most delicate part of the whole process. Step: crossing the bridge. This is that magical in-between moment when your body is falling asleep, but your mind is still awake. It's a phase known as the hypnagogic state. As you start to drift deeper, your brain's going to start throwing random stuff at you. Flashes of light, weird geometric patterns, maybe some strange sounds. The most important thing here is to do nothing. Just watch. If you get too excited or try to grab onto these images, your heart rate will shoot up and you'll probably just jolt yourself awake. You have to be a passive observer. This lays it out perfectly. You don't want to fight the random stuff you're seeing. You want to integrate it. So if you see a flash of red light, don't get sidetracked. Instead, just tell yourself it's the tail light of a car passing by the window in your fantasy. You let these random sparks become new building blocks for the world you've already made. You're not fighting the current, you're learning to steer it. And now for a little pro tip. What if you try all this and just fall into a deep, dreamless sleep? Hey, it happens. That's where perfecting your timing comes in, using a clever trick to give yourself a huge advantage. It's called the wake back to bed method. It's simple. You just set an alarm for about 4 to 6 hours after you usually fall asleep. When it goes off, you get up for just 10 or 15 minutes, long enough to get your brain alert. Maybe read a little bit about lucid dreaming or just mentally rehearse the fantasy you've built.
Then, when you lie back down, your brain is primed to drop directly into REM sleep, which is the dream stage. This gives you the absolute best window to start your visualization.
So let's put this all together now. You've built your scene, you've planted your trigger, and you've navigated the bridge. The moment of truth is when the fantasy shifts. It stops feeling like a 2D movie you're watching on the back of your eyelids and suddenly becomes a full, three-dimensional world that you are inside of. The moment you feel that shift, that sudden feeling of presence, that is your cue. Immediately, you perform the reality check you scripted for yourself. Look at your hands. Try to push a finger through your palm. Check for that floating book. That action right there solidifies your awareness and officially kicks off your very first lucid dream. And that brings us to the end. You now have the complete blueprint. The theory is done, and really, the only thing left to do is to try it for yourself. So the final question really is for you. What world will you build first?